I'm an introvert. I am very happy alone, doing my own thing, having my own activities. And most introverts I talk to will talk about the incredible thrill and grace and joy of having a canceled event. I signed up for the thing, I have this thing with friends, I'm going out, and then somehow it doesn't work out. My friend's unavailable, I got sick. I'm like, oh good, I just get to stay in. This is the best. Which is not to say I don't like my friends, it's not to say that I don't enjoy activities, but boy, staying home is great. But I have learned over the course of my life, I can't rejoice in that too much. I have to keep making the effort to go out and to do things and to have adventures and to maintain my connections and to be with my friends and to call my family. All of that is deeply, desperately important because it's good for my humanity. As much as I like being alone, as much as I like my own activities, I've done staycations. I like staycations. I mean, for goodness sake, we had a 3-month staycation during COVID. I was just in my house for 3 months. But the longer I do that, the more I realize, it's not good for me. It's not healthy for me. I enjoy the first day, and I kind of enjoy the second day, and then eventually I enjoy the third day. And there's always things that I can do, but at some point I realize I'm turning in on myself. I am becoming more selfish, more self-focused. I'm not as transcendent or loving or patient. I'm getting stir-crazy. Even though I don't want to do anything outside of the house, I still apparently don't want to do anything in the house either. And as I reflect on my own experience, and an experience I'm sure many of you have had as well, I realize, well, yeah, our theology could have told me that was going to happen. Our knowledge of God and the human person could have predicted that that's exactly how things go. Because Scripture tells us that we are made in the image of God. What does it mean to be made in the image of God? Well, primarily in Genesis, what they meant was that we were made with rationality and transcendence. That we are spiritual and material beings. And that spiritual aspect of us, that image of God, that spark of the divine, allows us to rationally engage with creation. It allows us to be transcendent beings. It allows us to have stewardship, a creative role in this creation. But this side of Jesus and his revelation, this side of the New Testament, we realize that it's even more than that. It's not just transcendence, spirituality, rationality, but we know that God is a Trinity. He is an eternal relationship of love, of pouring himself out in love, of receiving love, of being the very act of love. God himself is a relationship. And so if we are made in the image of God, then we are made in the image of relationship. Which means that if we are not in relationship, if we are not in community, if we don't foster these connections with family and friends and neighbors, then we are denying an essential part of ourselves. That we are not living up to the divine spark that's in us. A lot of people in the world will talk about the importance of relationship. They will talk about the importance of community. And a lot of times I hear that as let's all just hold hands and sing Kumbaya. And as an engineer, I hate that so very, very much because it is so in the feelings. And I have a complicated relationship with my feelings. So I want to push us to go beyond just it feels good. We don't value human relationship just because it feels good. It does, because it addresses the core of our nature, but we do it not just because it feels good, but because it is true. It is objectively true of the human person. You cannot understand our Creator and how we were created and who we are without also having to admit in truth, whether you like it or not, whether it makes you feel good or not, in truth you have to be in relationship with other people. If you are not, you cannot live into the divine image. If you are not, you cannot live in the love that is God. We have to be in community. We have to be in relationship. We have a lot of unique struggles right now in being in relationship. My first degree was in computer engineering, and so the joke I make, and it's only half joke and half of it is true, is that I prefer the glow of an LCD screen to the sun. And I still do. Don't like the sun. I have a very Irish complexion. The sun and I don't get along very well. But most of us are kind of that way. LCD screens are very enticing. Whether I'm watching a show or playing a video game or interacting somehow with people via the internet, via social media, there's something that's new and exciting about entertainment. There's something that's really attractive that pulls me in. That hits me in a certain part of my humanity, but I can tell you, it destroys human relationship. Even social media, which in a sense can foster different types of relationship, it can foster relationships across the globe, that's healthy and helpful, but it's not the same as having a one-on-one conversation. It's not the same as being in communion and community with fellow human beings. I'm asked all the time, and especially this side of COVID, Father, why do we have to go to church? I can stream it online. I get the same thing. There's a homily. I can pray. I can make an act of spiritual communion. And there are a lot of answers to that question, one of which is the authority of the church. Most people don't like that argument, but it's the one that I make because it's the one that I like. There's the authority of the church. But there's also, honestly, the fact that all of our church practices, all of the things that the church requires, are based in a deep wisdom about humanity. 4,000 years of studying what's good for humanity. And we can tell you that if you are not getting out of the house, that's not good for you. We are going to use the authority of the church to force you to get out of the house at least once a week, to be around people at least once. You need to do that at least once a week. And you might as well do it for the most important thing you can possibly do with your life, which is the worship of Almighty God. Screens, streaming masses, if you can avoid it, because they're not good for you. Some people are homebound, they can't get out. I get it. But if you can get out, you ought to, because it's good for you. You're made in the divine image. If you can have a conversation with somebody over the phone, that's still better than doing a typed conversation, because you can at least hear their voice. If you can be in person, it's better than over the phone. We were made for this relationship. This is who we are. This is God's image for us. It's so desperately important. And I can promise you, if you invest in it, if you try to overcome the introversion and the desire to be alone and to do my own thing and to have control over my own self, that you will find transcendence. It might be joyful to cancel an event once, but it is not joyful to cancel every event. I would challenge you, because I am in a sense preaching to the choir. You are the ones who are out of your homes. You are the ones who are here. You are already in a sense in that community. I would challenge you to dive deeper and invest more in that community. At Assumption specifically, of all of our churches in Whatcom County, because we are the largest church, because we are the deepest church, because we are the church that is most obvious in the center of the largest city, it is very easy to be anonymous. It is very easy to come to church, to sit in a pew, to not necessarily know anybody else in that pew, to not know anybody else at the church. And I've been asked multiple times, like, well, Father, just make us stand up and introduce ourselves to each other. I'm not going to do that. I'm an introvert. My mother's an introvert. And my mother has told me multiple times that she will disown me as a son if I make people get up and shake hands before Mass. We don't like that. So I'm not going to force you to do it. But I would encourage you to do it. I would encourage you to go to things like coffee and donuts. Encourage you to speak to each other. Encourage you to say, you know what? I've seen that person at Mass for the last 2 years. I think I would get along with them. I'm actually going to go outside of myself and introduce myself. Make a friend. Have that community. It's good for you. You are made in the divine image. And in order to be in the divine image of love, you have to love and be loved. You have to have other people in your life. And I would give you one final encouragement to live in that divine image, to live in the image of the Trinity. And it's this. In addition to everything else I've said about you and your health and who you are, we cannot evangelize this world without relationship. For 5 years, maybe longer, I don't know. I'm losing track of time. COVID was in there somewhere. Partners in the gospel. I don't know. My brain is Swiss cheese. For some number of years, we have been trying to do something called the Reach More program. Reach More is a 12-week training program where we teach people how to pray about the people in their lives, and then how to take their current relationships and make them God-centered relationships. Which is just to say, man, I got a bunch of friends, we like to hang out, how can we hang out and also talk about Jesus? Or I've got a block of people, a lot of people who live on my block, I would like to make a Bible study in my home. What does that look like? How do I do that? We try to train people up for that. It's the most effective form of evangelization. One-on-one or one-on-small group evangelization. Just getting around and talking about Jesus. I can do what I can from the pulpit, but ultimately it means relationship. So we've been running this program for many years, and 2-3 years ago I realized why it wasn't particularly effective. Because we trained up a bunch of people, only about half of them were really able to turn that into small groups. And I was asking them why, and I was talking to them. Turns out it's step number 2. So step number 1, learn to pray. Step number 3, take my relationships and make them God-centered relationships. But step number 2 was the hard one. Pray about the people in my life. I learned that many of the people that we were training up didn't actually have other people in their lives. They might have moved here from another state, and all of their family and friends were elsewhere, and they hadn't really found a community here. They might have just kind of lived their life anonymously in the pews, very faithful, which is why we would ask them to go to this program, very faithful, very loving of God, but not necessarily in community. And so when they asked, well, how am I supposed to create a small group? I don't know anybody. They wanted the church to make the small group for them. Like, give me a list of people, I'll do it. But that's not the point of the program. The point of the program is you go out to your people. A lot of our people didn't have people. And my heart sank, because I realized as the pastor, my desire was just to talk about the faith all the time, to lead classes and to teach things and to preach homilies and to be part of the school of faith formation and the fair church. Like, I just want to talk about theology all the time. That's my joy. And I never really understood or appreciated the pastors who spent so much time creating community. And then I realized, oh man, I have to spend time creating community because I can't achieve my ultimate goals if we don't know each other. I can't help you evangelize the world if you don't have anybody to talk to. And so we're doing the big combined Mass at Bellingham, and we're really insistent on trying to do coffee and donuts every Sunday here. Like, all of that is for the goal of your holiness and your happiness, of you having community and knowing other people because it's good for you, but it's also because we cannot thrive as a church community unless we have interrelatedness, unless we have communication and community and communion. It just won't work. We can't be anonymous Catholics in the pews. We have to know each other and we have to love each other. Again, finally, why? Because God is love. God is relationship. The very nature of God himself is giving and receiving and being in communion. That is who God is. And we were made in that divine image. We will always be imperfect and short of the image of God for us if we don't invest in those relationships. It's for a reason that Jesus said, love God and then love your neighbor. Love God so you know what relationship looks like. You know what love looks like. And then love your neighbor so that you can live into that divine image. Live into that divine spark, which is love.